Yeah. Let's just sit in a little bit more on CHT and Metcalfe a bit.
Mm.
Do you could see that this could be a combination of the future? I mean, we've got CHT come back from retirement. He's still relatively young. He played a
Yep.
lot of footy as a young player, but now he's kind of both players are in that sweet spot. I suppose 24 to 26 or 27. That's when you really
Yep.
start to blossom and grow. Do you see these two specifically could develop into a long form combo of multiple years, or do you think this is kind of a short term combination until we find something even better? Or what's your thoughts around this situation?
Yeah, these guys definitely have the ability to be a long form type of halves pairing that we could have into many years to come. Obviously, it's well known that Luke Metcalfe wanted to stand up and be that number 7 for us this year. So for me, he locked down that halfback jersey. He wants to be the number 7, and Chanel probably complements him. For some people, a lot better than what Tomato did in the 6 jersey. I think with Tanner Boyd around, I think Tanner's a 7. He's not a 6 for me. And if we're going to be running with Luke Metcalfe as a sole number 7, he's going to be the guy kind of running us around the traps. He's going to be a hybrid 7, but he wants to be the guy, right? Like with the kicking boot, all that sort of stuff. Chanel's going to be more of the guy that helps him out if he gets stuck with the kicking boot at times, or help him out in those sort of areas where with Tanner, I think the best part of his game is game management. It's never been playing off the back of something like a 6 usually has to do. The way we usually play our football, our 6 is for some people, is very quiet at times, right? That's why Luke was so good at that position, because he's got game breaking speed. He's got that X
Yeah,
factor
that's
to
true.
where like he can just play off the back of a 7, like Sean Johnson. And I think out of the rest of them, like I was obviously singing the praise of Tamade Martin. A lot of people obviously say he's really quiet in that 6 jersey. We need to start looking elsewhere. Chanel can pull his weight in many different areas. Defensively, very sound. Both these boys, as you said, still got a little bit of footy left in them as well. They're fairly young. If they build a connection, get really close, and they get the team around the park, we got strike everywhere. I just see this boding well for us in the future. With both these guys, as I said, like Chanel has proved it on big stages as well. And Luke Metcalfe obviously wanting to be the 7 for the future. He's got full confidence in his game, and I love that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's very much a potential thing. We obviously need to see these guys play it out, and we're hoping they do really well. But if you're thinking from an age point and experience point, these guys are ready to go into their prime, even if in their individual careers, even if they're not together. So, I think it could be. I think you're bang on about Tanner Boyd. Um, I think he is an organising half, but you just don't know with injuries. Again, I always say, please Metcalf. If anything,
That's it.
just stay healthy, and I think he will. I think he's going to be required not to be so much of a running player. He's going to have to be an organizer. So maybe he's not on the end of those line breaks. Sometimes when he's you know someone goes through the line and he's a support player like a traditional 6. But either
Mm.
way, I think he'll do a good job, and I think hopefully we'll get to know actually the two and how they combine pretty much quite early on. So look, they very well could be, but health and those types of things is what's important as well. So, but you
Yeah,
love to see it. You
100%.
love to see a halves combo go together, right? I mean, we seen Cleary and Luai.
Yeah.
We seen those patterns of two halves that have played multiple games and seasons together becoming a halves pairing. So no, I'm all for it, and hopefully it goes well. Um,
Yeah, and both their
yeah,
mentality, right? Like you look at the type of people that they are. I don't think there's any like it could be any real friction there in the halves of like as I said like before, Luke Metcalfe's full of confidence and he wants to be the number 7. If we take that 7 jersey away from him, put him back in the 6, I worry where his confidence kind of sits there too. You know what I mean? He wants to be in the number 7. He wants to take over. Where
yeah,
Chanel's he's a character that can take the second fiddle sort of role. He can take the back foot step, right, where he can play off the back of Luke Metcalfe, where some of our other pairings that we could have came up with, I do feel like it would had to take a little bit more time for it to really work out properly. Chanel's probably the easiest for out of every one of our halves to really play next to someone and really make it work. Tamai Martin and Chanel played against with each other and they worked fairly well because of that. He allowed Tamai to be the more dominant out of the two and played off the back of it. I'm sure he's going to do very similar things with Luke Metcalfe outside of him as well.
and that's a very good point. Every iteration of Chanel has always been as a 6.
Yeah.
So whereas the other iterations for Metcalfe and Tamati has been 7 and 6. So I think it's very solid in his role as a 6 for CHT. And that left-sided kicker, I think, like I mentioned last week, it's going to benefit Tamati immensely in terms of, and benefit Metcalfe in terms of giving him extra support and help. You never know, teams always can weigh that kick pressure on you. If they can start to predict what side you're going to kick from.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's always